everyone, and welcome to tonight's Historic Preservation Commission meeting. I would like to call to order tonight's November 17th meeting. And let us begin. If I could ask everyone to please stand as together we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for our roll call, we will each introduce ourselves. I am Jenny Steinhagen.
Ladislao Castellanos.
Josh Gacchione.
Thank you. For tonight's public meeting, we have two items on the agenda. We have the 101 Main Street, also known as the Washington Hotel and the Samuel Fee Building, as well as updates and information about Historic Preservation Commission membership. So in that order, let us start with the first item. At the October meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, we announced that the commission was working on a draft landmark nomination for the Washington Hotel. That draft has turned into an official document. It has been submitted to the Tuckahoe Building Department. It was received on November 15th. And that then sets into motion the next steps for evaluation of the Washington Hotel, 101 Main Street, as a potential landmark in the village of Tuckahoe. So tonight, in order to proceed with the process, those next steps, we would like to begin the public meeting discussion, which invites the public to join in to the evaluation of this document. And to do so, I would like to call for a motion from the board to accept the nomination for 101 Main Street and to open the public meeting. Do I have a motion?
Aye.
Do you want to read it?
Aye. I move that we accept the landmark nomination for 101 Main Street, aka the Washington Hotel, and open a public meeting to review the potential recommendations to the Village Board of Trustees. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That's all of us. So the public meeting for 101 Main Street, the Washington Hotel, is now open. So before we invite members of the public to come up and share any information, any comments about the nomination, I would like to acknowledge it is an 18-page document that is going to be made available on the Tuckahoe.com website under Boards and Committees, the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Commission. There you will find details and information about what makes this building so historically and architecturally significant. What this commission does with the information in that document and all research that is done about any sites that are proposed as potential landmarks is we evaluate the information based on the criteria spelled out in Tuckahoe's historic preservation legislation. There are 7 criteria. And I'd like to show, if we could, on our slides, exactly how the Washington Hotel, 101 Main Street, fits the criteria and why it merits this discussion, this evaluation, and this nomination. So there are a couple pictures there of the Washington Hotel building to remind everyone what exactly we're talking about. It's the gorgeous marble building on Main Street. There are some historic pictures and some newer pictures there. But on the next slide, now, this is a summary of the criteria, but out of those 7 that I mentioned, there will be some that the Washington Hotel is not going to meet. It is not the birthplace or the grave site of a person of significance, so we're not looking at that. Nor was it designed by a famous architect of distinction. We don't know who the architect of the Washington Hotel was, but there is significant information justifying especially criteria A, which is possesses special character or aesthetic value as part of the cultural, architectural, social, and economic history of the village of Tuckahoe. And that is detailed in the document, and we spoke a bit about that at our meeting last month. Also, criteria B, it is identified with persons or events significant in local, state, or national history. We talked a lot about Samuel Fee and the important role that he played as superintendent of one of the quarries, and his role in bringing people to the table to discuss union matters at the Journeyman Stone Cutters Union building. The criteria D, I can barely see, criteria D embodies the distinguishing characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction or design style, or is a valuable example of the, can you read that? I'm going to the actual document here. Value example of the use of indigenous materials or craftsmanship. Well, that was a fun one because it's our Tuckahoe marble that we spoke quite a bit about at the last meeting. The foundation and facade of the Washington Hotel exhibits the original 1883 marble that was extracted from the nearby Tuckahoe marble quarries in order to build this structure. The Washington Hotel is one of the most distinguishable buildings on Tuckahoe's Main Street, a Westchester County road that appears on maps of the area dating as far back as 1728 because of its beautiful and solid marble facade. And we also have criteria F, represents an established and familiar visual feature of the community by virtue of its unique location or singular physical characteristic. We talked about how important it was that Samuel Fee had that building on Main Street near the quarries, 7 acres, surrounded by a densely populated area. It's been in that same spot since 1883. It's absolutely a visual feature of Tuckahoe, an established one. So this is what we look at when we look at the potential landmarking of a building in Tuckahoe, these criteria. And there is a lot of information to back up the statements made here on this slide. I'll pause there regarding the summary of some of our research and ask if there is anyone from the public who has anything that they would like to share or contribute.
My name is Dick Forliano. I'm the Eastchester Town Historian, 26 Dogwood Drive. The Samuel Fee's Washington Hotel is on my top 3 list of historic homes, not just in Tuckahoe, but in the town of Eastchester. Samuel Fee is fascinating. In the mid-19th century, a wave of Irish immigrants came into Tuckahoe, making up close to 20% of the population. These were famine Irish, fleeing what most historians consider to be one of the most horrible incidents in world history. And many of them came to Tuckahoe, to what was called then Upper Tuckahoe, in the town of Eastchester. Samuel Fee actually worked on St. Patrick's Cathedral, and in 1859 he came to Tuckahoe. Now, he was a stone cutter. Stone cutters got paid 3 times as much as the journeymen who worked in the quarries, and they were in high demand. And he was hired by the owners of the quarries to be an intermediary between the working men, the stone cutters, and the people who were corporate management. At the time, the Washington Hotel was the second, it was a community center for the whole village. This is where the Masonic Order met. And before 1877, the Masonic Order wasn't limited just to Catholics, but to Protestants. And people like the Hodgman Rubbers, who were the biggest employers in town, belonged to this. And Samuel Fee served on many civic associations. He had a huge farm behind the Washington Hotel where him and his Irish-born wife and either 4 or 5 children were raised. He was also a justice of the peace. So he's significant. Also, and I did meet the man who purchased, the dentist who purchased the Washington Hotel when he originally came in. And he purchased, one of the reasons he confided to me, I haven't been able to talk to him for a number of years, was that his grandfather was an Italian immigrant. And at the beginning of the 20th century, there was a wave of Italian immigrants who came into town. And his grandfather worked on the Kensico Dam, and along with a lot of the residents of Tuckahoe who worked on the quarries, worked on the railroads. So why the historical significance, just like our past smokestack that's no longer there, this is a symbol of how people from desperate backgrounds, the famine Irish, the Italians, how they become part of the culture of the village of Tuckahoe and the town of Eastchester, and they rise up, and still today they are the two largest ethnic groups in the town of Eastchester and the village of Tuckahoe. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, well, we will, unless there are any other comments or information to be shared with the board, I'd like to thank the Tuckahoe History Committee for all of the information that they have provided about the Washington Hotel, 101 Main Street, especially Arlene Gruber, who was very helpful as we looked for the details to fill out the story. And the Tuckahoe History Committee really helps to bring these stories to life for all of us so that we can help them keep living on. If there is anything else for the Washington Hotel, we will keep this public meeting open at least until December. So people are encouraged to submit any additional information or comments. But I believe we are ready now to move on to the next item on tonight's agenda, which is a little bit of information about the commission, us, the Historic Preservation Commission and membership. Josh, do you want to share with us?
Great. Thank you, Jenny. The Historic Preservation Commission, if you had watched the Board of Trustees meeting from earlier this month, there was a unanimous vote that approved the expansion of the Historic Preservation Commission from 3 to 5. So the 3 Musketeers will now be the Fab 5. Applications are being accepted immediately to fill the 2 seats. We would love to have a couple more companions on here with us, each having a term of 3 years. Interested people should send a short email explaining their reasoning why and their resume to our village administrator, David Burke. You can find his contact information on the Tuckahoe website, but it is dburke@tuckahoe-ny.com. And also on the tuckahoe.com website, you'll find a lot of the qualifications for membership. And none of us on the commission at the moment have all of the qualifications here, but we each bring something unique to this. And for anybody thinking about joining, and you're like, well, maybe I'm not qualified, maybe I don't do enough, if you have the interest, you at least meet the minimum qualifications. So please look into it and contact us as well if you have any questions, because we'd love to answer it for you.
Yes, thank you. We do look forward to welcoming 2 new members to the commission, and especially those with a background in history, art history, architecture in particular, are encouraged to apply and to highlight in that email your demonstrated interest in historic preservation. Now for our discussion under miscellaneous business. Is there anything to be brought forward? I just want to acknowledge that at the October meeting, I spoke about the Gilded Age architect who worked on the Vanderbilt mansion, the Marble House in Newport, and I said his name was Robert Morris Hunt, and his name is Richard Morris Hunt. So now that I have that out in the open, I feel much better. He's
Fact-checking yourself?
the guy's incredible. He's done so much amazing work, and I knew his name was Richard, but I called him Robert. So, Mr. Hunt, I'm very sorry. We may need to leave it on that note, other than recognizing that we will have another meeting in December. We will be discussing again the Washington Hotel at 101 Main Street. We hope to see everyone there in December. Until then, I believe we are adjourned. Happy holidays and thank you.